What if I told you that the next time you sort through an old box of coins, a single penny could quietly be worth more than a 5-star vacation? Sounds unrealistic, right? After all, it's just 1 cent. Small, copper, ordinary. The kind of coin people leave in tip jars or forget under car seats. But here's what most people never realize. Some of these pennies were struck during a time when craftsmanship mattered deeply, when nearly pure copper flowed through the presses and every detail was sharply defined. Others were produced in huge numbers, yet only a tiny fraction survived with blazing original luster, untouched surfaces and razor-sharp detail. And then come the hidden surprises. A faint doubling in the date, a small mint mark that changes everything, a striking flaw so subtle you'd overlook it without magnification. That one tiny detail can turn 1 cent into $50, $100, sometimes far more. Now imagine finding more than one. Imagine discovering a near-perfect example that collectors compete fiercely to own. Imagine building a collection piece by piece, each coin stronger than the last. Suddenly, it doesn't feel impossible, because real value isn't always loud. It doesn't always glitter. Sometimes, it hides in plain sight. Luxury doesn't always begin with massive investments. Sometimes, it begins with a single coin most people would never look at twice. So before you spend your next penny, pause, examine it carefully, because something extraordinary might already be sitting in the palm of your hand. Welcome back to Old Coin Secrets. Coin number 1, 1944 steel cent, a silent coin from a nation at war. Some coins are remembered for mistakes. Some coins are remembered for rarity. But some coins are remembered for the era in which they were struck. The 1944 steel cent belongs to that category. It was minted during a time when the world was at war, and America's economy and industry were fully mobilized for the war effort. Steel replaced copper in pennies because copper was urgently needed for ammunition, vehicles, and other wartime necessities. In 1944, the United States was strong, confident, and focused. Factories worked day and night. Cities were humming with energy. The future, though uncertain abroad, felt full of promise at home. And in the midst of this effort, the 1944 steel cent entered circulation, not as a collectible, not as a treasure, but as everyday money. A coin meant to work, a coin meant to move, a coin never intended to last forever. Yet today, nearly 8 decades later, collectors search for it, because history has a way of turning ordinary objects into extraordinary treasures. America in 1944, industry and war effort. The year 1944 was pivotal. The Second World War was raging overseas, but American industry was thriving. Every penny counted, literally. Copper, once used for coins, was redirected to the war effort. Steel became the substitute for pennies. A bold move reflecting both innovation and necessity. The US economy was fueled by factories producing tanks, planes, ships, and ammunition. Workers across the country labored long hours. The war effort unified a generation. In this environment, pennies were not just money. They were symbols of national contribution. Every coin in circulation represented support for soldiers abroad, food and supplies for allies, and the collective effort of an entire nation. And the 1944 steel cent was at the heart of that story. Design details, sleek, simple, and strong. Obverse, front. Abraham Lincoln facing right. Strong jawline and cheekbones. Hair detail above the ear. In God we trust. Liberty. Date, 1944. Reverse, back. 2 wheat stalks along the sides. Bold lettering, 1 cent. United States of America. The raised details were always vulnerable to wear, but steel's hardness preserved some features surprisingly well when handled correctly. Where the 1944 steel cent was struck. The 1944 steel cent was produced at 3 main U.S. mints. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, largest production. Denver Mint, D, mid-level production. San Francisco Mint, S, fewer coins, making it highly sought after today. The 1944 steel cent, struck in San Francisco, is particularly collectible because fewer examples survived in strong condition. Why the 1944 steel cent is highly collectible. This coin represents a unique period in U.S. history. Steel cents were produced for only a few years during war, making them inherently rare compared to standard copper coins. Collectors value the 1944 steel cent for several reasons. Limited minting. Historical significance. Survival rate in excellent condition is low. Its wartime origin and steel composition make it instantly recognizable. While millions were produced, finding one with minimal wear, original surface, and strong detail is a true challenge. What collectors look for today. Serious collectors of the 1944 S steel cent examine. 1. Mint mark clarity. The S must be original, clearly defined and free of errors. 2. Surface quality. Uncirculated coins with natural gray steel tones are preferred. 3. Detail preservation. Strong Lincoln features. Sharp wheat lines and intact lettering indicate higher grade. 4. Corrosion avoidance. Steel is prone to rust. Coins that avoided it are highly prized. 5. Overall rarity. Fewer. Surviving coins in top condition increase demand exponentially. Market value. Realistic price ranges. 1944 S, San Francisco. Good. $2, $6. Fine. $20, $40. Very fine. $80, $150. Extremely fine. $200, $500. Mint state. $1,500, 408,000 plus. Condition changes everything. A single cent, overlooked in a drawer for decades, could now hold thousands in value. Why the 1944 S steel cent matters. The 1944 S steel cent is a window into wartime America. It represents a nation fully engaged in wartime, innovative coinage adapting to resource scarcity, a story of ordinary citizens contributing to a global effort, the intersection of everyday life and historical necessity. Within this tiny coin lies the spirit of an era, disciplined, industrious and resilient. Common mistakes that destroy value. Many steel cents lost value due to cleaning or polishing with chemicals, scrubbing or abrasive attempts to brighten, improper storage in humid conditions, neglect leading to rust or pitting. Collectors prefer natural surfaces, gray, untouched, and original. Artificial shine or corrosion drastically reduces value. Where 1944 S steel cents are still found. Even today, these pennies occasionally appear in estate collections, old coin rolls, antique stores, forgotten family jars. Most people overlook them, but collectors recognize their hidden potential. What this coin symbolizes. The 1944 S steel cent is more than a piece of metal. It symbolizes resilience during a global conflict, innovation in the face of scarcity, everyday contributions to extraordinary events, the quiet endurance of history in a coin you could carry in your pocket. The 1944 steel cent is not famous for errors or dramatic minting quirks. It is powerful because of its position in history. It comes from the years when America was at war and ordinary. Materials became extraordinary. Many were lost, damaged, or forgotten. But the few that survived in strong condition now carry immense historical and financial value. So if you ever find a 1944 S steel cent, pause. Examine it. Because this tiny steel coin may have traveled through one of the most pivotal years in American history. And today, decades later, it could quietly be worth far more than its original 1 cent. Coin number 2, 1950 D Wheat Penny. A post-war coin born in America's new confidence. America in 1950, a nation rebuilding. The year 1950 was the start of a new era. The United States had emerged from World War II as a global superpower. Industry was booming again, but this time for consumers, not combat. Factories produced refrigerators instead of rifles. Car dealerships expanded rapidly. Highways grew longer. The middle class expanded dramatically. But tension was rising too. The Cold War had begun. The Korean War would erupt that same year. It was a time of growth, but also uncertainty beneath the surface. And pennies still mattered. A single cent in 1950 could contribute to candy at the corner store, newspapers, milk, busfere. The 1950 D Wheat Penny moved quietly through this growing economy. The Lincoln Wheat design, nearing its final years. By 1950, the Lincoln Wheat design was already over 40 years old. First introduced in 1909, it had become one of the most recognized coin designs in American history. Lincoln's portrait on the obverse remained strong and familiar. The wheat stalks on the reverse symbolized agriculture, stability, and American roots. But something important was approaching. Within 8 years, in 1959, the wheat reverse would be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. That makes the 1950 D part of the final chapter of the wheat era. Collectors understand that late date, wheat cents represent the closing moments of a classic design. And closing chapters always carry emotion. Design details, sharp but easily worn. Obverse, front. Lincoln faces right. His hair detail above the ear is finely struck. The cheekbone is rounded but defined. The jawline is crisp when uncirculated. In God We Trust arches across the top. Liberty rests on the left. The date 1950 appears on the right. Below it, the small but important D mint mark. That tiny letter connects the coin to the Denver Mint, a facility known for strong strikes, but heavy circulation in the western United States. Reverse, back. 2 wheat stalks frame the design. 1 cent dominates the center. United States of America surrounds it. The inner wheat lines are thin and highly vulnerable to wear. Most circulated examples show flattening in those lines. Proof they worked hard in daily commerce. Denver Mint production. The Denver Mint struck over 334 million 1950D wheat pennies. On paper, that number sounds enormous. And it is. But here's what matters. High mintage does not guarantee high survival in top condition. These coins were not widely saved in pristine rolls like some later dates. They circulated heavily in the booming 1950s economy. That means most examples today show wear. Most examples are brown in color. Most examples lack strong original red luster. But when a high-grade, fully red example surfaces, collectors notice. What makes the 1950D collectible? The 1950D wheat penny is not famous for dramatic errors. It is collectible for different reasons. Final decade of wheat design. Strong post-war historical context. High demand from date and mint collectors. Scarcity in premium red mint state grades. Collectors building full wheat cent sets need this coin. And when building a complete set, every date matters. That steady demand keeps values stable. What collectors look for? Serious collectors examine several key areas. 1. Original red color. Copper coins tone over time. Bright original red surfaces command premium prices. 2. Hair detail above the ear. Sharp hair strands indicate minimal wear. 3. Cheek smoothness. Flat cheeks signal heavy circulation. 4. Wheat line strength. Strong inner wheat lines boost grade. 5. Mint mark quality. The D must be original and well-formed, not altered. Cleaning destroys value. A polished 1950D is worth less than an untouched brown example. Originality always wins. Value breakdown. Circulated examples. Extremely fine. 3.7. About uncirculated. $8.20. These are affordable, making the coin popular with beginner collectors. Mint state, uncirculated, MS63 brown, 2048, MS65 red brown, 4075, MS65 red, 75, 150, MS67 red, $400, 21,000 plus. In ultra-high grades, registry quality coins can reach even higher prices at auction. Condition transforms this coin completely. A circulated example is pocket change. A flawless red specimen becomes a serious collectible. Why high grade matters so much? Copper is delicate. It spots easily. It tones unevenly. It reacts to humidity. Finding a 1950D with full original red color, minimal carbon spots, sharp strike, clean surfaces is far harder than the mintage suggests. That's why high-grade examples command strong premiums. Where they are found today. Even now, 1950D wheat pennies appear in old coin albums, inherited collections, estate sales, dealer junk bins, occasionally in circulation. Many people overlook them because they are common. Collectors do not overlook condition. What this coin symbolizes. The 1950D wheat penny represents post-war American growth, the rise of suburban life, the beginning of Cold War tension, the final decade of a classic coin design. It is not dramatic, it is not legendary, but it is steady. And steady coins build strong collections. Common mistakes. Avoid polishing, chemical cleaning, artificial brightening, improper storage. Collectors prefer natural toning, original surfaces, professional grading for high-value pieces. A cleaned coin loses trust and value. The 1950D wheat penny may not headline major auction catalogs. It may not shock you with six-figure price tags, but it carries something powerful: stability. It represents a confident America rebuilding after global war. It marks the final chapter of the beloved wheat reverse. Coin number 3, 1951D wheat penny, a quiet survivor from the peak of America's post-war power. America in 1951, growth with tension. By 1951, the United States was riding a wave of industrial strength. World War II had ended 6 years earlier. Factories had shifted to consumer production. The middle class was expanding rapidly. New houses were being built across growing suburbs. Television sets were entering living rooms. Cars filled the highways. American culture was changing fast. But beneath the surface, global tension was building. The Korean War had begun in 1950. The Cold War was intensifying. America was powerful, but cautious. The 1951D wheat penny entered circulation in this exact atmosphere. It became part of everyday life during a period of prosperity, mixed with global uncertainty. And like all pennies of its era, it worked hard. The wheat design, nearing the end. By 1951, the Lincoln Wheat design had already served for over 4 decades. First introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the design had become one of the most recognizable in American history. Lincoln's portrait was no longer controversial. The wheat stalks were no longer new. They were trusted, but something important was approaching. Within just 8 years, in 1959, the wheat reverse would be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. That makes the 1951D part of the final stretch of a historic era. Collectors understand that coins from the final decade of a long-running design carry emotional and historical weight. They are the closing pages of a story. Design details, strong yet vulnerable. Obverse, front. Lincoln faces right. His hair above the ear is finely detailed when freshly struck. The cheekbone is rounded but sharp in uncirculated grades. The jawline is crisp. In God We Trust arcs above. Liberty appears to the left. The date 1951 sits to the right, followed by the small but important D mint mark. That tiny letter ties the coin to the Denver Mint, and that mint produced a massive number of these pennies. Reverse, back. 2 wheat stalks frame the design. 1 cent dominates the center. United States of America curves around it. The inner wheat lines are delicate. They flatten quickly with circulation. Most 1951D pennies you encounter today show clear signs of wear in these areas, proof they moved through countless hands. Denver Mint production. The Denver Mint struck over 625 million 1951D wheat pennies. That number is enormous. On paper, it suggests the coin is common, and in circulated condition, it is. But here's where collectors think differently. High mintage does not equal high survival in top condition. These coins were not widely preserved in sealed rolls at the time of issue. They were used, spent, dropped into cash registers, carried in pockets. Over decades, copper reacts to air and moisture. It darkens, it spots, it tones unevenly. So while millions were made, pristine examples are far less common. What makes the 1951D collectible? The 1951D is not famous for major mint errors. Its collectability comes from demand from date and mint wheat cent collectors, final decade of wheat reverse design, scarcity in high-grade full red condition, popularity among registry set builders. Collectors building a complete Lincoln wheat set need this coin. What serious collectors examine. When evaluating a 1951D wheat penny, professionals look at 5 critical areas. 1. Original red color. Copper starts bright red. Over time, it turns red-brown and eventually brown. Full original red examples command strong premiums. 2. Hair detail above Lincoln's ear. Sharp hairlines signal minimal wear. 3. Cheek smoothness. Flat or dull cheeks indicate circulation. 4. Wheat line strength. Clear inner wheat lines dramatically improve grade. 5. Surface cleanliness. Carbon spots, scratches, or cleaning marks reduce value. Shiny does not mean valuable. Original surfaces mean valuable. Value breakdown. Circulated examples. Mint state, uncirculated, MS63 brown, 15s, 35 ounce, MS65 red brown, $35, $75, MS65 red, 75, 150, MS67 red, $400, 8 to 100 pla. Ultra-high registry quality examples can exceed those numbers at competitive auctions. Condition transforms the coin completely. Why high grade matters? Copper is fragile. It spots easily. It reacts to humidity. It develops fingerprints permanently. Finding a 1951D with full blazing red luster, minimal contact marks, strong strike, clean fields is far harder than the mintage suggests. That difficulty drives premium prices in the highest grades. Where they are found today. Even now, 1951D wheat pennies appear in old coin albums, estate sales, inherited collections, dealer bulk boxes, occasionally in pocket change. Most people overlook them because they seem common. Collectors look deeper. They look at condition, not just date. The 1951D wheat penny may not shock the world with extreme rarity. It may not carry legendary mint errors, but it carries something powerful. Consistency. It represents a nation at its industrial peak. It marks the final era of the classic wheat reverse. And in pristine red condition, it proves that even high mintage coins can become valuable when preserved perfectly. So if you ever find a 1951D wheat penny, don't ignore it. Coin number 4, 1952 wheat penny. A coin from a transforming America. The year 1952 was a time of growth and rebuilding. The United States was moving confidently into the post-war era. Industries were booming, suburbs were expanding, and through it all, billions of coins were quietly circulating in everyday life, including the 1952 wheat penny. This coin represents the closing chapter of the classic wheat penny design. which ran from 1909 to 1958, just 7 years after 1952. The reverse design would change to the Lincoln Memorial. That makes 1952 part of the final stretch of an iconic era in U.S. coinage. Design, a timeless classic. On the obverse front, you'll find the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. This design, created by Victor David Brenner, had already been in use for over 40 years by 1952. Above, Lincoln's head appears. The phrase, "In God we trust." To the left is liberty, and to the right is the year 1952. On the reverse, back, you'll see the famous wheat stalks, one on each side, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above that sits E pluribus unum. This wheat design is simple, yet powerful. It symbolizes agriculture, growth, and America's roots. For collectors, it's one of the most recognizable coin designs ever made. Condition changes everything. In the coin collecting world, condition is king. A heavily circulated 1952 wheat penny, one with worn details, scratches, and faded surfaces, may only be worth a few cents above face value. Many of these coins still trade for 5 to 25 cents depending on condition. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, especially with strong red color, the value can increase significantly. Collectors classify copper coins into 3 color categories: brown, BN, red-brown, RB, red, RD. The bright red examples, which still show their original mint luster, are the most desirable. In grades like MS65, MS66, or higher, a 1952 wheat penny can sell for $50, $100, or even more depending on demand and certification. High-grade coins that have been professionally graded and encapsulated often bring the strongest prices at auctions. Composition, real copper content. Unlike modern pennies made mostly of zinc, the 1952 wheat penny contains 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gives it a heavier, more solid feel. The rich copper tone is part of its appeal. Over time, these coins develop a natural patina that collectors appreciate. Some may darken to chocolate brown, while others retain flashes of original red brilliance. This high copper content also adds intrinsic metal value, though collectors are usually more interested in condition and rarity than melt value. How to check if yours is valuable. If you think you might have a 1952 wheat penny worth more than face value, follow these steps. Check for a mint mark under the date. Use a magnifying glass to inspect for doubling or unusual features. Look for strong detail in Lincoln's hair and coat. Examine the wheat stalk lines on the reverse. Are they sharp and complete? Avoid cleaning the coin. Cleaning can drastically reduce value. If your coin appears uncirculated or shows a possible error, consider sending it to a professional grading service for authentication. Realistic value range. Here's a general breakdown. Circulated condition, 0.05, 0.50. Uncirculated, MS60, MS64, $5, 25. High grade, MS65 plus red, $50, 150 plu. Error coins, $50, 2,500 plus depending on rarity. Values fluctuate based on market demand and grading results, but the potential is real, especially for top condition examples. More than just a penny. For many people, the 1952 wheat penny is just loose change from the past. But for collectors, it's a piece of history frozen in copper. It represents the final years of a beloved design. It carries the craftsmanship of mid-20th century minting. And in the right condition, it can carry surprising value. Sometimes hidden treasures aren't gold bars or rare diamonds. Sometimes they're quiet little coins sitting unnoticed in a jar. So the next time you come across a 1952 wheat penny, don't rush to spend it. Take a closer look, because that simple penny might be worth far more than you think.